right, we're in downtown Milwaukee. This is the Milwaukee Public Market, voted the best public market in the United States for the last 2 years. So we're going to take a little tour inside, talk with Paul Schwartz, the executive director. So follow us along. All right, so here we are. There's the olive oil place. This is Fultz's. Great fresh produce here. Paul, how you doing?
Twice in 2 days.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Just walking around, looking at showing stuff.
Awesome.
Here's Freese's candy.
Yeah, hopefully you get a chance to enjoy some of that.
So, Paul, how many times do you come down here a day to
Freese's or just anywhere down here?
Just Freese's.
I've been trying to be better, but I got into the habit. I'm a huge fan of their cherry sours.
Ooh.
And that was becoming a multiple day a week visit.
There's a spice house where I buy a lot of the stuff you can't buy anywhere else.
Yeah. You know what's the cool thing about Spice House? Let me just show you.
Sure.
They're really good with like seasonal, like rotating this out. Typically putting like a sample pack in there, and then putting them all to do a thing. So you can take this, you can cook with it. This is a gift bag. It includes some of it, and like does like the recipes. You know.
It's the Margarita Palace.
Paradise, yeah.
Paradise. Excuse us.
If you're out there had a few margaritas, it is paradise. Aladdin, he's one of the originals I was talking about yesterday. He does a combination of Middle Eastern prepared food as well as deli-related items, and then they have they do their own pita wraps and salads as well.
So we're just at the beginning of lunch. So it's not quite crowded yet, but in another hour it'll be.
Give it the 45 minutes to an hour, and you'll see the deluge of traffic.
All right, we're going to walk back towards the other end. You can see why that's the second floor up there, where there's meeting rooms, event space, cooking classes.
Seattle's Bakery is one of the original ones too. Their manager actually ended up, who was working for the original owner for a long time, ended up buying it from the original. This is the Fultz guys. This is where the pizza came from.
Oh.
And this is the same brothers who own Rocky's Food Market in Bayview.
West Dallas cheese.
West Dallas cheese with Bragg's that they've got over 200 variations of cheese. Then they have a cool map there that maps out different types of farms or locations that they get around the state.
Nice.
And then they do carry out too, so there's a lot of people who come in here, purchase something that they can take back home with them. This is the Wurst bar.
Yeah.
The dive bar.
The Wurst bar. It's the dive bar.
The Wurst. Taste of Wisconsin is also within West Dallas cheese, and that's dry goods that are mostly locally produced.
Okay.
Got sit down now, which is the barbecue.
That was so good.
That was it?
Oh. Yeah.
Very different than Wisconsin.
St. Paul.
The famous St. Paul fish.
So the oyster bar, and then we've got fresh seafood. Anything you could want. You'll see chefs in here buying. We have the dining area over here, where I've had my $14.95 lobsters 25 years ago.
So good and worth it. And this is the outdoor Tiki bar, Bar. That is part of the hustle and bustle of this intersection here. And it already has people at it who apparently either don't have jobs on it.
Oh, I think they're just here for a lunch meeting. Well, that would be my guess. This is a Tiki bar, and this is also part of St. Paul.
Yeah.
And there's the draft vessel.
Draft vessel. This is the 1940 pickup truck that also serves beer on the weekends.
Oh, it's got the taps on there. Check it out.
And this is a whole seating area that's like, it's open to the public at all times, but this was built once we installed the beer truck. So it offers kind of another hangout spot for people. A lot of people like to come and sit on here and enjoy a beer and look at the intersection here. It is too early for me to do that.
And there's Cafe Benelux across the street.
Yep.
Seating on the top, on the roof, and then on inside.
Just put that new enclosure structure. It's pretty magical.
I remember the little domey things.
Yeah, those will be back just on this other side here.
Oh, great. Hi, I'm Charlie, and today on Munching Around Milwaukee, my guest is Paul Schwartz. Paul.
Charlie.
Afternoon. Good to see you.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having
Paul
me.
made the walk all the way down from the public market, which is about 3 or 4 blocks from here. He is the executive director of the Milwaukee Public Market, the Business Improvement District number 2, or the BID from a tax standpoint. Mm-hmm. The board of directors of the Historic Third Ward Association, one of Tom's favorite associations, and was a Milwaukee Business Journal 40 Under 40 honoree. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I'm sure it was just a year or two ago.
Yeah, just celebrated.
And the USA Today, for those of you who don't know, has voted the Milwaukee Public Market the best public market in the United States for the last 2 years. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
That's
that's it. We can end the interview, and I'll leave.
So no, it's and I will talk a little bit because we've lived in several places that had very nice public markets, but compared to everything, the amenity wise, the breadth of places in the market, it's really not close. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
So we have a couple things we want to do before we get into talking. First, I think we're doing a gift exchange. It's like Christmas.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So I have for you, I usually say when you go shopping at the public market, but I don't know if you really do that. So we have one of our tote bags here.
This is perfect. And thank you. I should have used this to come over today, but I wouldn't have been able to fit everything.
No,
in
you
this.
would not have. So where do you see the food
yes,
we got?
This is fantastic. I will definitely use this around the market. But for you, I have a couple, and we'll get you more of the aprons, the market branded aprons for you. So when you're cooking here or elsewhere, you can be covered and supporting your local public market.
I'm going to wear this anyway. Because I'm a slob and I'm just going to drip food on my clothes. So, well, thank you.
Of course.
You know where I'm going to give this to? Would you pass that down to that woman down there in the corner?
I was going to say. That's who it was earmarked for. But I have 2 more that I'll bring to you.
All right. So Paul brought a lot of food. So at the market, there are, if I remember, 17 vendors.
17 inside, and then we have 1 seasonally outdoor as well.
Okay. So why don't you tell us what we got here? We're going to start passing this around because we do have some hungry people to feed.
Yeah. So I don't want to break the 4th wall here, but Charlie says bring enough for like 4 to 5 people to have lunch. Which I'm, obviously happy to. This is, you can't go wrong. This is the St. Paul fish lobster roll with fries and coleslaw. We've heard people from the East Coast, Maine, and other areas say that this is one of their favorite lobster rolls in the whole.
Let's pass this to Tom because I know that's what he's looking for.
Come on, don't be bashful.
All right, and then next we have.
This is the chicken kebab combo from Aladdin's Middle Eastern Food. Comes with an amazingly seasoned chicken, some rice, traditional hummus, and then a small side salad.
Okay.
And warm pita bread.
Very warm.
We have pad thai from Dynamite at the market.
That's one of Ellen's favorites.
This does have some chicken in it as well. It's one of Ellen's favorites, so Ellen, this is probably going to get passed down. Moving right along here, we have a very popular crowd pleaser. This is Fultz Family Market. They have a wood-burning pizza oven on the outside of the market building. They do one of the better, I'd say, kind of traditional bar-style kind of pizzas. They hand-roll their dough every day. They're doing pizzas made to order, but then also they have about a dozen pizzas on their menu. I think it's fantastic. Okay, so one of our newest vendors is a barbecue vendor called David Allen, and they make one of the best Nashville hot chicken sandwiches. And you can't see it yet, and I don't want to touch it with my hands, but the thickness of this fried chicken is incredible.
I wish I could put it down just a little.
Plus they do a side of tater tots, among other things. I think this is going to be an incredible bite for many of us. So, who gets this one?
Well, we'll get to them all. Somehow we'll figure it out.
All right, and then at the end, when we get to pass around, Freese's Candy Shop has been around for roughly 100 years. They're based out of West Dallas, but they make all their own homemade chocolates. They have a location inside the market. Fantastic family, incredible story, and even better candy. So,
we're looking forward to that. So, Paul, thank you so much for bringing all this.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, let's talk about how we get you here.
Yeah.
So you were born in the Chicago area, born and raised?
Yeah. So I was born mainly in the Chicago area. When I was about 5 years old, my family moved up to the Kenosha County area. Mm-hmm. And that's where I spent the bulk of my life. And then stayed here. I eventually graduated from UWM, but grew up in Kenosha County, which was very rural. I wouldn't say it was the most robust food options in terms of going out, but I do think that people really did. Now that I look back on it, I think people did really take pride in their food sourcing, whether it was from farms or in their backyard.
Okay. So after you graduate, what did you do early career?
So believe it or not, I bounced around to a couple different colleges before I ended up at UWM. And I finally said, all right, I'm going to finish. I'm going to finish college. I was the first one of my family, born in America, to go to college. And so I felt it kind of I had to do it. And I owed it to my family. And so I moved to Milwaukee, went to UWM, finished with a journalism and mass communication degree. Okay. And so then I was encouraged to go out, and actually discouraged into the journalism world at the time, which was rapidly changing. And somebody said, why don't you actually, if you don't really know what you want to do, start in the PR world, go do an internship. So I took an internship at Kramer Krasselt, which is in the 3rd Ward here. Was not in the 3rd Ward at the time. They were over on Mason Street near Northwestern Mutual. Uh-huh. And learned a lot, but also learned that agency work was probably not for me. And what that taught me, though, was, there was a great kind of a mentor around there at the time that just said, whatever you're going to do next, just have some passion in it. You're young, you could make mistakes, and that was a great piece of advice for me to hear outside of my family, somebody just kind of encouraging you to take some chances. So, in May or March of 2007, I saw an ad for an administrative assistant at the Milwaukee Public Market. And I said, well, you can't get really more entry level than that. And so even if I screw up, it's going to be, I won't burn the place, hopefully. And so I applied to it, and I just wrote this really passionate missive about, why I thought places like that mattered. I even did a SWOT analysis at the time for it.
Really?
Which I have to dust off and see if it's still pertinent or if it was ever
post that online. That'd be great.
And I went through a couple rounds of interviews. At that time, the market was still trying to figure itself out, and but I was like one of the new hires, that they were bringing on. And so from there, I basically, since then I've never really described myself as having an enormous amount of talent. I just have never said no to doing stuff. Uh-huh. And I was always intrigued, and so I was fascinated by this place. I'd been there a couple times prior to applying. I walk in, and it's got that amazing wow factor, right? You just look up, and I still see it today, and it's one of the things that makes me go there on weekends for working too, is just I love seeing people's first impression of the place, because I think the first impression is everything. Right, and how the food tastes, what the sound quality is in a building, what they're looking at, how they're gathering around a table. All of that matters, I think, in hospitality. And so for me, it was the wow factor, like looking up and saying, this place is magical, and why not come to this place every day for work and figure out how you can make it a better place. And then started reading about it, how it was formed, the community nature of it. Just really appealed to me and checked a lot of boxes.
So talk about that. It was developed by the 3rd Ward Association?
So at the time, the bid was a separate entity and it always has been, but the Third Ward Association was utilized because it's a nonprofit, was utilized for the donations, sponsorship, and things like that. And it was part of the main steering committee. And so the money was raised through the association, which was spearheading a lot of the initiatives, along with a separate organizing group that was truly raising the money and reaching out to stakeholders and even public funding opportunities too. The likes of Wendy Bauman, who we've already talked about, Dick Wright, Einer Tangen, and some others. And they did a fantastic job of getting this thing built during some fairly heavy headwinds. There was really nothing like this concept in the Midwest that was comparable.
Right.
And I think the things that were just perhaps just a struggle to figure out in the beginning was the Milwaukee market, right? The customer base ready to shop in that manner, right? Could they go inside of a place and say, I'm only going to buy a poultry from this vendor and only certain types of produce from this vendor, things like that. It was just timing is always so much of it too. And so some tweaks were made to develop a hybrid approach, which is not dissimilar than some of the ones that have been around forever, like Reading Terminal Market in Philadelphia, Westside Market in Cleveland, Pike Place Market has always had this hybrid approach of fresh foods that you can purchase to take home and cook versus ready-to-eat products inside those spaces. And so we kind of worked, after I was hired, that the management team was kind of working on finding that balance, creating some alternate revenue streams, and just working on the experience and perception of the market.
So, and how you started in 2007? When did you become executive director?
So,
and before you answer that, Tom, could you pass the pad thai, please?
More importantly, pass the pad thai. Forget about when you became. Oh, good.
Thank you very much. All right. So sorry to interrupt.
No,
please continue.
Please interrupt.
I'll have to eat too.
I'll leave later. So to answer your question, I became the market's first executive director in 2017. It had some general managers before then, but first general executive director in 2017. Prior to that, I had worked for about 5 years. I was promoted to the market's operation and communication manager, right? So handling a lot of the day-to-day operational things, a lot of the lease discussions, and then marketing communication aspects, a lot of the PR stuff, which thankfully I had some experience with on an intern level just through Kramer Krasel, proved to be very helpful just for some of the mechanics that I ended up using. And so I never applied. I'll be honest with you, Charlie, the only job I've ever applied to within this organization has been administrative assistant at the Milwaukee Public Market in 2007. Everything else was an appointed position. I typically, if you ask anyone, I typically try to talk them out of any promotion. To be candid with you, when the board started to say, hey, we're determining we need an executive director role, we think we could go out and do this search and do this. It'd take a ton of time and money to do this, but everyone's sitting there and go, why the heck are we not thinking about Paul?
Right.
And I said, I can give you reasons why you shouldn't think about me. And I don't know, just my
Quite the salesman.
Right, my Kenosha County talk people out of stuff mentality. But no, I was not excited about the task. It was just, I'm sure there are, experts in this field internationally, and if you wanted to look and get somebody who's been, managing public markets for, a decade, I wouldn't be bashful. So it wasn't like no, never. It was just like, why don't you take an opportunity to look around? And then I started getting the phone calls from others. You're taking this, and I think what had taken place was they had said, we're renouncing this tomorrow. So you're going to have a very challenging. You're going to have a very challenging discussion with some local media if you basically are turning it down. And at that point, I was already kind of basically on board. Through that year, there was also our bid. Just to back up a little bit, is a little bit different than some other bids, right? So we have the general assessment that like Milwaukee downtown, and the city of Milwaukee has 30-some bids throughout the city. between us and Milwaukee downtown are the two largest in terms of scope and budget. And I think the difference with us is that we have operating businesses that earns us most of our income. So
Right.
we have 2 parking structures in the 3rd Ward. We own the Benelux building. We own the public market. So north of 80% of our revenue is earned income, and the tax assessment was basically almost been flat for the last 12 years, is still an important part of it. But I think what that has proven from us on a bid standpoint is we have skin in the game. So we have properties that actually pay into the bid assessment, which is, so we as a property owner are also thinking, okay, are we maximizing our dollar? Are we doing everything we can? Are we providing services to better the commercial corridor here? And I think by and large, the things that we can do that are within our wheelhouse have been a success to a large degree. And so that was all taking place. There was a conversation about separating the 3rd Ward Association from the bid because it was already a separate organization, but the bid had different considerations than the association did. And so that took place, and in 2018, I was appointed to oversee the bid as an executive director, not just, and the public market, right? So I still have a hat that I oversee the market, but now there's, a couple dozen other full-time staff that operates the bid.
So let's talk a little bit about the public market itself. So one of the, as I mentioned at the opening, that we have lived in cities that have had public markets. We lived in D.C., we're at Eastern Market, right? We lived in Capitol Hill.
Yep.
And it was, we went there all the time.
Sure.
Cincinnati was Finley Market. Ellen is from Cincinnati, and we lived there 15 years, and Finley Market was another. But they have their limitations in that there's no parking structure for either one.
Sure.
Especially on Capitol Hill, because it's a lot like the 3rd Ward. It's supposedly a walking thing, so you walk from wherever you are to Eastern Market. But the difference is the breadth of what's in the market itself. But there's parking all around, and the depth of the vendors that are there. I mean, you see the food. Obviously but there's also the Oro di Olio, the olive oil.
Spice House,
right?
Yeah, Bruce City Apparel. There's an apparel shop in there too.
And I asked you when we were getting here. So there's a little teeny bar. There's a little hole in the wall that I can never remember the name of, and it is called
It's called the Wurst Bar, technically.
That's the Wurst Bar.
But it's an homage to bratwurst, right? And it's owned by Fultz Family Market. And so I think the unique part of the market, you just listed like a ton of great vendors. The unique part of the market is that there's these small vendors, mom and shop, and typically mom and pop shop own, right? So Fultz is a great example. 2 brothers who own Fultz Family Market, who also then from there grew and bought Grappi's Food Market in Bayview, are incredibly savvy at both finding the balance between providing the grocery element that the market needs and the customer base yearns for, as well as an experience where you can sit down and enjoy homemade sausage on a pretzel bun and drink a local beer and watch a Brewer game, right? And so I feel like there's so many of those stories where we've tried to create and cultivate an experience to be, you want to come in, grab some products, grab some meat from the meat case to come back to your condo and grill out later that night, we got you. If you're in here, if you got people in from out of town and you're just like, let's go to the Palapa Tiki Bar outside of St. Paul and have a margarita.
I did have a question. Does St. Paul own the Tiki Bar?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's all part of,
they're just printing money over there.
Yeah. It's the brainchild of the brother-in-law, or the brother, Patrick Nettobeck, who used to operate bars like Rosie's on Water Street and a bunch of bars that used to be popular around here. And it just created the scene. And I will send this to you. I should have done this beforehand. If you look at a Google Street View of what St. Paul and Broadway looked like in 2010 versus what it looks like now, massively different. The energy's there. It's arguably one of the busiest intersections in the entire state.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that the market is exclusively responsible for that, but the influence that it has had just to kind of drive traffic and pedestrianize that intersection, I think has been
but not all measured, right? Some of it's luck and happenstance and timing and everything like that. But it's really transformed that space and really kind of makes it an attractive area.
A successful market and the amount of people that go through there on a daily basis drives a lot of the traffic there in the third ward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have outside spaces, you've got inside spaces. We haven't even talked about the second floor yet.
I know.
There's a second floor where we haven't been in a couple years, but they cooking classes upstairs.
Cooking classes, yep.
Event space. There's a space.
I had my wedding there.
Well, that's yeah. Talk about that. That's interesting. How did you break that to your wife?
She was
Honey?
actually pushing for it.
I know the Wisconsin club. Yeah, let's go to the public market.
Sure, that invoice that would come through and much more appealing. No, it was. I mean, we were again because I'm prone to talking myself out of things. We talked about. I said, hey, maybe this is too close to home. Maybe we should look somewhere else to have this special moment because I'm here every day, right? And she met with our staff is, you know, my wife is like family, and so she goes, well, I'm just going to go in and meet with the staff, and then if we feel like it's just not in the cards, then I'll walk away. And she came back like ecstatic, and by then we had already been having weddings and corporate events and holiday parties up on the second level, so there's we knew that it would be a fantastic spot. And that was it. She came back completely sold. She goes, we're not looking anywhere else. We're having our wedding here on this date, and you're just going to have to live with it. And it was like recollection of like being appointed executive director.
That was your idea, so.
Right.
Wow.
But it was great. And so here's the cool part about that too, right? So I would say figuring out what the market could and should do from an experience level is really kind of, we defined early in 2007, 2008, we started doing like opening the second level up to events, because what better way to show people a new space and introduce them to this space, to introduce them to the food, right? Because the bulk of our catering comes from the vendors downstairs, right. And it's a unique space. Like there's nothing wrong with the kind of quintessential boardroom or conference room in a hotel to have a wedding reception. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. But if you can add a unique element from the people who are experiencing it for the first time to be overlooking this bustling public market downstairs, right. There's again that wow factor, right, that we're always looking for. So that's been constantly improving, changing, and evolving over the years.
So who are they? I know there's 4 original vendors. Who are they?
St. Paul Fish Company,
mm-hmm.
West Dallas Cheese and Sausage,
okay.
C. Adams Bakery, and Aladdin.
Okay. We have probably been to St. Paul Fish House. We lived here 15 years, 100 times.
Okay.
Go there a lot. That used to be our boys. That we say on their birthday, go wherever you want, and they wanted to go to the lobster dinner at St. Paul. Always.
That's awesome.
And when it was $14.95, which is no longer $14.95.
Yeah, inflation's tough.
But it's the St. Paul. It's also a food market. Mm-hmm. I mean, a fish market.
Yeah.
So I was telling you, I've seen several chefs in there buying stuff. Adam Public.
Yep.
But they're in there, and that's where chefs go to buy fresh seafood, because that is the best place in town, as far as I can tell, to buy seafood.
I would agree. And it's not like Adam was in recently, grabbed something from there, also snuck over to Fultz to grab a couple items there and some seasoning and things like that. I love the multi-dimensional aspect of the market. And so we just hosted the International Public Market Conference, which for us is a big deal. It's a conference that takes place every couple years. It's put on by this group called Project for Public Spaces, based out of New York City. Been around for 50 years, massively respected in this field of not only transforming public spaces into gathering spaces, but also public markets and their tool to do that. And so this multitude of experiences where you could come in there, you could see someone from out of town, you could see your neighbor from Domus walking through there and grabbing a glass of wine. Yeah. You could see a local celebrity chef coming in to get some ingredients for a dinner they're doing later that night. Fascinates me. I think it's one of the most unique elements that makes the market so special.
Yeah, it's more than a market. It is a gathering place, especially in the neighborhood. There was something there before the Mexican place.
So believe it or not, Kira's Candy used to be up against that window there, and then they moved to where Freese's now is.
Uh-huh.
That was shared with El Rey, which was there at the time, which was primarily just groceries. But technically, Margaret of Paradise was, prior to that, was our candy vendor, and they were getting drilled by sun. Like the candy was melting. So we moved
west,
candy out into the island, and then Keir's recently retired. Amazing family, the Martika family. And it was a smooth transition with Freese's coming in. And the market is supposed to kind of do that. There's supposed to be kind of this sifting and winnowing of different types of products and shifting around. And it kind of it's what kind of keeps people guessing about what might come next, too, you know?
Well, I think also when we lived in Shore with Thief Line was there, and now they're down at the public market. They've been there for, 8-10 years now?
So Thief Line started in the public market in 2008. They were there before they opened Shorewood. They a couple who knew some other people. They were looking to open up a business in the Midwest. They were actually contemplating Madison at the time. Came to Milwaukee, visited for a weekend, got chaperoned by some of us. They signed a lease at the market. They bought a condo 2 blocks away, and the rest was history. It was, and I don't think there's another story that, you know, with that short of a time span where you're coming in, looking at a space, and then turning your life into a transition period for the next 6 months.
The other thing I wanted to ask you was, when we talked earlier, there are other entities, not food related, that are owned by either the market or the bid, and you cross the street under the...
Oh, yeah.
So talk a little about that.
So I talked about, and Ellen has said this too, a lot of people have said, when can the market expand, or when should the market expand? And that's, you know, something that we've always said, well, let's fill in the neighborhood here, which now has happened successfully, right? But one of the things we've really kind of explored, and I've been a proponent of, is how do we get outdoor activated? All of you know there's nothing like walking past a venue and seeing, and you might know that there's activity going on inside, but the true ornament, or the cherry to kind of bring you inside, the carrot to bring you inside, is seeing a bunch of people outside in this vibrant space.
Right.
And so part of me loves it because I personally, just as a patron, love to sit outside and enjoy food, beverage, and company in the outdoors, right? And then secondly, there's no better way to kind of lure people in or make them wonder why they're not sitting there themselves, other than having people out there to kind of say, "Why? What's going on over there?" So not only did we did a couple things, right? So when 2017, when the streetcar was being built on St. Paul Avenue,
Right.
the city was redoing that, and that was one of the few stretches where you had 2 lanes of tracks in each direction.
Right.
So it really kind of narrowed in. So if you were parking, we had about
We used to park
a
there.
dozen. We had about a dozen parking spaces. I'm sorry to take it away, but look at what it is now.
Right.
And we got that parking lot too, Charlie. Like you mentioned.
Yeah, but it's, you know, if you just need to run in and run out, it's just, you know, it's easier to park on the street and be done with it.
By the end of this, Charlie's going to get his own parking spot in there. Watch. But activating. So we, you know, the city's like, we're nervous about having all these parking spaces here because we don't, in the wintertime, we don't want to block the tracks.
Right.
Long story short, we said, okay, we'll forego them and sign off on that, but we want to expand the sidewalk so that we can program it. Which took place, which also we were able to put public seating for anyone. Doesn't have to be a patron of the market, so you can go to Collectivo across the street, walk over and sit there, and we will not kick anyone out or tell them they have to patronize the market.
Right.
We put the Draft and Vessel 1940 Ford pickup beer truck out there
Right.
for a seasonal experience out there, and then just moved around. So St. Paul was first. We worked on having leases and use agreements with the state of Wisconsin to activate the space under the pickleball, under 794, where the pickleball courts currently are in the Riverwalk Commons Concert Series. Across the street from the market, there's a green space that's owned by the sewer district that we have under a use agreement that we are now refreshing and adding additional green space along the Riverwalk that we can program or just make use for residents in the 333 Tower or anyone to come out and just enjoy. And so part of our mission has been truly focused on how can you embrace the community culture by not only offering amenities and elements inside for somebody to purchase inside the market, but providing them space to recreate, listen to music, hang out with their dog, or just be.
So you have all three.
Right. And so that brings up the dog park. So then we worked with Milwaukee Downtown on the dog park across the river too, as another under freeway activation. So part of so here I am, journalism and mass communication major, not particularly good one either, and intern.
Did you get your degree?
That's
all that matters. So
yes. And then I just was fascinated. All the things that I am fascinated about, I have found by accident. Food, gathering with people, socializing, being, embracing the urban culture, showcasing the city, improving public spaces, events, program, like this type of stuff fascinates me too. And so I have also been able to work with this phenomenal team that has just grown into a family and makes it work. So a lot of times, and I tell people this, full discretion, like I'm the idiot who just babbles into these microphones because my title's executive director. There's a incredibly talented group of people who work alongside me every day that make this place what it is, or make these places what they are. And I'm just really fortunate enough to be part of it.
The market fascinates me. It's a great part of our community, of our neighborhood. And that you mentioned the freeway. So if you're driving in from west to east, heading towards the lakefront, and as soon as you get close to downtown, right on your right at the public market, right at the turnoff to go, is the public market. It's just right there.
Right.
And it's really cool looking, and it just is a great welcoming into the downtown area coming from the freeway.
I'm glad you feel that way. We certainly do as well. It's been featured in movies. It has been an opportunity for us to also cultivate more partnerships. Like currently we have the Brewers banner up there to kind of celebrate the playoff run.
Right.
We've been fortunate enough based on proximity to it as well. The Third Ward wasn't always what the Third Ward is today 20 years ago.
Right.
But I think the market has definitely played a role in bridging some of the gap between downtown and the Third Ward, helping with some of the vibrancy. But the community, none of that would take place if the community didn't embrace it, whether it was locals who legitimize the experience. Because this is interesting. When you travel and to go out of town, you don't always want to necessarily look at what are the top tourist things to do in the city. You almost kind of want to get a sense of what does a local think I should do here?
Right.
Where is the best restaurant, from your opinion, who lives here on a regular basis, which offers credibility to it. If we didn't live up to the standards of the locals here, no one from out of town would really want to embrace us, right? So I think we really strive to hit kind of both sides, become one where we can be a tourist destination, where we can invite people from out of town, show them an element of what Milwaukee is all about, and then also the people who are living down here, what is their day-to-day function? What makes them happy about this being in their neighborhood?
Paul, thank you so much.
Charlie, thank you.
I appreciate it very much.
It's been a pleasure.
I always appreciate the food. I mean, that's silly. But talking about the Third Ward and the market and its place in there, and how it's basically the rising tide raises all boats, and that's what the market is part of. It's just raised everything within the Third Ward just by being there. And the more that if you go down there on any nice day, it's just you can't walk around. I mean, you can't drive around. You can walk around because it's people always crossing the streets all over the place.
Right.
And it's a very vibrant scene. So we're glad that you guys are here.
Thanks for being a part of it.
Absolutely. And I got an apron too. So thanks so much for supporting Munching Around Milwaukee. Each week we talk to one of our local chefs, restaurateurs, foodies, or food influencers, or guys who run markets, but are certainly part of the fabric of what makes our city great. So until next time, thanks for watching.